go. Good night. I had a hard time getting here. I was sick all day, and my wife said, "You're not going at all." And then I got a little bit better, just a little bit, and I said, "The heck with it." And it's funny how once you get moving, then somehow things, take care of themselves. But I'm happy to be here. I'm Armand Girard. I'm running in the 3rd District for Congress. A little introduction for myself. I'm on the Republican Central Committee in Baltimore City, the Republican one. I've been there for about 6 years. I'm a retired math teacher from the Baltimore City public schools and a couple private schools as well. And I guess I'm a retired officer in the infantry. I got that duty done back in the 60s when we had Vietnam and the social things. I think things are a little bit calmer now. That's my background. And one of the reasons I'm running is today I just spent an hour with a tax consultant going over my income tax with my wife. That's 2 hours that we spend, and we must at least spend, my wife and I together, at least 6 or 7 hours preparing for it. And then we're going to pay a couple $100 to have it done. And I think Herman Cain had it right. It's too bad he's not in the race anymore. He was very refreshing as far as I was concerned. Because when you want to have a tax, you want to have what he brought out. You want clarity. You want it simple. You want it clear. I don't mind paying taxes. I think the best kind of tax is you go up to the filling station, you fill in there, boom, boom, you put your credit card, and the government, I don't know what they take, 19, 20%. It's gone, that's it. You don't have to fill out any forms. If you make over $32,000, then it's $5 a gallon. If you make less than 30, it's very clear. Take your money and that's it. And I think that's what a good tax is something that's simple and clear, and everybody can participate. I believe everybody has a vote, and everybody should participate at least proportionally. So that's one of the reasons I'm running. I've noticed here for the Constitution, when I read the Constitution, I think it's the 4th Amendment, I'm not too sure, but where we have the right to the privacy of our home and our effects. Yep. And I think effects implies your private money, your bank accounts, and everything. You have the right to that. I went to Switzerland a couple times, and that rule in Switzerland is adhered to. You can't get into somebody. Well, if you're a Swiss citizen, in other words, that's just like your home. If the government wants to find out about it, they have to have a warrant. They have to have a reason to go in. You just can't arbitrarily access your bank account. And of course, with the IRS, everything's public. They know about, I guess they know more about me than I know about myself sometimes. But anyway, that's one of the things I think. I'd like Herman Cain. I'd like to prolong what he wanted to do, and that's to replace the IRS, which was Alan Greenspan, when he retired, he said that's what should be done with the IRS. Replace it with a flat tax, and then increase. What I would do is just increase the federal taxes that are already there. We have alcohol, we have gasoline, we have phones. You can increase those or create some new ones. But the main thing is, I think everybody agrees, the IRS, for me, should disappear. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but anyway. The other reason, one of my things I'm worried about is I retired a couple years ago, and I looked into Social Security, and I was happy to get Social Security after working 45 years, and I got about 30% of my salary. And I said, that's a little low, what are they doing with all that money? So I looked into it, and the first thing I discovered is that your money from your deductions doesn't go to Social Security. Goes to Congress. President Johnson, when he wanted to finance the war in Vietnam, he didn't want to raise taxes because then people ask questions, you know what I mean? So he just changed the law where your Social Security deductions go to Congress. He financed the war with it. They take 25, 28%, and then what's left over goes for your retirement. The problem is they never changed that. That's what happens. It's still happening. So one of the things, if I'm elected to Congress, that will change. Your hard-earned money that you work for 40 years, every day, every bit of it should go to Social Security. And that's a 25% increase in revenue, and that certainly gives them a lot of flexibility now to be solvent. And one of the things I'd like to have is my daughter and my son-in-law, who work so hard, they're in their 30s, I'd like to have them have the option to, to have a private personal account. Now, it's not a privatization of Social Security, it'd be just like the thrift program that your mailman has. The money goes into an account, Social Security is responsible for it, they give you 2 or 3 options how to invest it, they watch it very carefully. And then with that, there's no reason why every hard-working person in America, after 35 years, when they're 55 or 60, cannot retire comfortably. Just the way your federal worker retires at that age. And I looked up also, if I went for Congress and worked 35 years, I retire on $16,000 a month. That's a nice pension. And I think, one of the things you learn in the Army is leadership. You should, you make sure when there's a chow line, you make sure your men go through first and you follow at the end. Make sure they're taken care of first. And the same thing with the pensions. If I'm a congressman and I can retire after 35 years with 100% salary, then there's no reason why the people I represent who work hard can't have the same opportunity. So that Social Security I would like to have change, and I'd like to have the option for young people to get into personal accounts. And with that 25% increase in revenues, I think that'll give Social Security a lot of flexibility. The other 2 issues, which I was talking to a widow. She was 84 years old. Her father gave her $200,000. He sold his business, and she just wanted to make sure it's insured. I don't trust the stock market or anything. You've got to have it. But she only gets 1.2% on her CDs. That's terrible. CDs, here's a person who's retired, has fixed income. The CDs should always be about 4.5% as they were 3 or 4 years ago. And that hurts that retired person, that widow. So I don't quite understand that. And it certainly discourages savings when I think my savings account, my poor wife said, oh, I got to have $1,000 in the savings account right in the bank because we can get to it right away. And she gets 6 cents for $1,000, she gets 6 or 7 cents a month. She gets 0.12%. That's not what the American system is all about. You should encourage savings. And then the other thing, I'll stay with my family. My lovely daughter got married 6 years ago. She has a child, another one coming along, and I gave them a little bit of money. I matched them to buy a house. Told them it's a great investment. You buy a house, you have a nice place to live, and your equity will go up. The middle class will prosper. It's one of the ways to create wealth. At least I enjoyed that in my generation. And what's happened after 6 years? They want to try to sell their house. Their mortgage is worth more than their house. They're underwater. And they're very bitter about that. I don't like to see young people that are bitter about things. Not a happy thing. They should have $50,000 or $60,000 equity to put in to buy a new house, which they need. So something is wrong with that. That's not the American dream. That has to be changed. Home values is one of the, talk about the middle class not prospering, that's one of the places they should be able to prosper over the long term. 1 more minute?
Yep.
Okay. So those are the main issues. I'll close by saying that Congress has about a 10 or 20% approval rating, and most of the time when you have that kind of approval rating, you're fired. So that's one of the other reasons. I mean, they don't do anything, whether it's immigration or the IRS or Social Security. They haven't really solved any problems. There hasn't been any real leadership there, and that's why I'm running. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope if you're in the 3rd District, you'll vote for me.